Welcome to Upticks. I'm Jake Falcon, the founder of Falcon Wealth Advisors and your host of Upticks. Today is episode 153, How to Give More to Charity. Thank you for joining me back on the show. Hope all of you out there are staying safe and healthy during this horrible pandemic. For today's topic, I wanted to talk about ways to be able to give more to your preferred charity of choice. And when I'm talking about charity, I'm not talking about your children or grandchildren. I'm talking about a qualified 501c3 organization. And the reason I want to talk about charities and giving more is that we're seeing with many people still slowly starting to get out and about, they're finding opportunities to volunteer in other ways versus directly going maybe to a food pantry to help. A lot of them are doing it for monetary reasons or in ways of just writing checks. But I wanted to talk about a strategy that we use for many of our clients that allows them to not only lower their taxes, but to actually give more money to charity versus just writing that check. And the strategy involves using an account called a donor advised fund. And what a donor advised fund is, you can think of it as another type of account. So you might have an IRA, a Roth IRA, an account in the name of your trust, or just a joint account or brokerage account or a health savings account or a 401k. That's what this is. It's just another type of account. It's called a donor advised fund. And if you don't work with Falcon Wealth Advisors, you can probably go directly to whatever financial institution you work with. Many of them have them available, or your financial advisor should be able to point you in the right direction. But we do them here for our clients directly at Falcon Wealth Advisors. And they're pretty neat. And the way that they work is that you basically, any dollars that you put into a donor advised fund can be potentially deducted from your taxes in that given tax year. Now, standard deduction rules do apply, right? And so you want to make sure that whatever you're putting in there exceeds the standard deduction, or it really doesn't pay you much benefit, right? So if you're married and the standard deduction's around $25,000, if you're only going to put $1,000 in there and you have no other deductions, then there's really kind of a moot point, somewhat. And I'll get to that in a moment. So first box you want to check is that you want to make sure that you're putting enough in there to get you over the standard deduction. Now, quick disclosure, my compliance doesn't like me giving tax advice. I don't give tax advice, but we do tax planning, which is a little bit different. So always you want to double check everything that we're talking about here on this show as it pertains to taxes with your CPA or accountant, right? So you want to make sure that they're signing off on the strategy, because they are going to know your tax situation much better than I will, because they're the ones filing your tax return. Right? Makes sense. But this is kind of a high level tax planning, session here, for lack of a better term. And every client's different. So again, don't take this as advice either. I'd like to meet with you one-on-one if you do want to talk about this in more detail. Okay, so the box you want to check off first is you want to make sure you put enough money in there to get you over that standard deduction. And you don't want to pull from your IRA or your 401k or your Roth IRA to do this. You want to do this with money that's outside of that, or what's called non-qualified. So in your checking account, ideally, if there's stocks in a brokerage account that have appreciated, those are the best things to give, in my opinion. And I'll go over that here in a moment. But that's where you'll be funneling this from. So if you say, Jake, all my money is with you, it's all in an IRA, I don't have much else, besides a little bit I keep in my checking and savings, and this is not for you, probably, right? This is for the client that says, hey, I've got 3, 4, 500,000, maybe $1 million outside of my IRA in stocks that have appreciated, and I do like to give to charity already, and that's who this more than likely is for. All right, so why I like giving, so you can give cash or you can give investments. Why I like giving investments into a donor advised fund is, let's say that you have a stock that has appreciated and you've owned many years. Well, by donating it to the donor advised fund, you also avoid paying capital gains taxes on that stock. So it's a huge perk, right? So again, there are certain limitations and rules that apply, right? So you can't just put millions of dollars in there and expect to be able to write all that off. There also correlates with your adjusted gross income and some other tax deals. So again, every client is different, but if you can give appreciated stocks into your donor advised fund and then liquidate them, you don't pay any capital gains taxes, which is huge, in my opinion. It's a big deal, especially if we think the capital gains tax is going to go up. So maybe you wait and see what happens with the new tax rules. And maybe if capital gains taxes go up, this would be even more of a reason to use a donor advised fund. Okay, so how can you actually give more? So that's one way, actually, by giving more to charities. That, if you just sold the stock and then wrote a check to the charity, you would have to pay taxes, and then the charity would get whatever's left over. By doing it this way, the charity gets the full amount. What's wonderful about this account, though, is let's say that you put $50,000 in this donor advised fund. Well, you don't have to give all $50,000 out in that respective year. You can give out $1,000 a year, or $2,000 a year, or $5,000 one year, and nothing the next year. That's what's wonderful about it, is that you can slowly give out money. And to go into my point here of today's topic, while that money is sitting in that donor advised fund, we can invest it in stocks and bonds and grow that money. So if today you say, okay, Jake, I've got $30,000 sitting here in appreciated stock, I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. I don't want to pay any capital gains. And according to your tax situation, maybe you are able to write off that whole amount. Again, you want to confirm that with your tax advisor or your CPA. And then we keep that money invested either in that stock or something else, right? Ideally, we diversify, because if you're going to give it to charity, you want to be careful about having it all in one stock. And maybe we grow that 30,000 to 40 or 50 or 60,000 over time, and you're actually able to give even more to charity than you would have if you just would have sold the stock and wrote a check for $30,000. So it's a pretty neat vehicle, right? So you've got some, and again, when you pull money out to give to a qualified 501c3 company or organization, not company, organization, that's tax-free also. So you don't have to pay any taxes on any gains from the investments within the account. All right, so before I recap, thank you so much for tuning into our show. Quick plug, if you're not already subscribed, please mash that subscribe button. If you think this content's good, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated, either via YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. Also, if you and I aren't already connected, feel free to send me a friend request on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Instagram. Also, my company, Falcon Wealth Advisors, is on the same 4 platforms. Okay, so let's recap this, right? So donor advised fund, don't be intimidated by it. It's just another account. If you got an IRA, Roth IRA, you'd have a donor advised fund. If you have money outside of your retirement accounts, health savings accounts, that's in a regular brokerage taxable account, and you're already giving to charity, you may want to consider opening a donor advised fund. What the strategy that I'm kind of laying out for you is called bunching. You put a bunch of money in there in 1 year, and then you write it off potentially, and you slowly give that money out to charity while that money stays invested and continues to grow. Also, a quick side note, you can list beneficiaries on these donor advised funds. So don't be afraid. That's like, Jake, what if I put a lot of money in here and something happens to me or my spouse? Well, then actually you can designate a beneficiary that then can carry out kind of what you want to do as far as the charitable giving, right? So again, quick side note, the beneficiary typically can't cash the money out for their own benefit. What they can do, though, is control the donor advised fund and continue to give to your charity of choice, or maybe your family's charity, or however you want to lay that out. So the good news is it is transferable, but you don't want to, once you put it in there, you don't want to pull it back out, because then you might have to pay taxes or penalties or all this other stuff. So that's not a good idea. It's what's called an irrevocable gift. So you put it in there knowing that you're going to give it to a charity one day, but maybe not all of it today. All right, put appreciated stock in there, keep that money invested, let it grow over time. And then again, you're able to magically give more to charity. Studies have also proven that people that give are happier. So that's another reason that I wanted to bring up today's topic, right? With all of the stress and everything that's been going on around the world, I think it pays to do some self-care and to make yourself happier. And if going what I've been coached on is called going external, or helping other people, that might make you in turn boomerang back to you, and you feel helped or better as well. Also, people that have a plan for giving to charity are proven to be happier as well. So the idea is that not only is giving good, but you don't want to just kind of randomly write a check, $100 here, $50 here. What if we put this all together in a fund that you've established, and we can get a plan built around your charitable endeavors? And that way we're organized, just like you are with your retirement plan or your mortgage or your second home or travel plans. Let's build a plan for your charitable giving. Let's make sure that you're giving more to charity without actually having to write a check for more. And let's make you happier, right? That's what we're looking to do here at Falcon Wealth Advisors. So it is all the time that I have for you today. Thank you so much again for tuning in. quick side note, forgive the casual dress. I'm going to go golfing today. Speaking of charity, I donated a round of golf at one of the clubs that I play at. So I'm meeting 3 new people today. Credit to them that they bought the round in an auction. So they donated to a charity. I donated the round of golf. So again, we're all out there for a good purpose. Hopefully it's a good day. I think it's going to be a nice day in Kansas City. I was looking forward to meeting some new people and getting out there on the golf course. 2 things that I certainly love to do. Hope all of you out there are staying safe and healthy. Thank you so much for tuning in and hope you have a great week.